start here. Today we're going to talk about the substantive test and the test of controls, advanced audit analytics. Here we will learn the application of IDEA. So the first thing I want to mention here is how to access RBS Virtual Lab Machine. Although I have posted on Canvas just in case you still have problem, let me show you how to do it. So we just go to this link. Didn't I? Copy it here. And for you guys, because you have a student account, you should have the another desktop. Say that it is Rutgers Business School Virtual Lab. Since I have the faculty account, I only have this one. But what we do is basically the same. You need to select this clipboard and printer and then press allowed. And then put your email address here, your password here, then login. You may wait like 1 minute for the virtual lab to prepare all the applications and services. Once you log into that desktop, you just find this search button and search whatever the applications you want to use. So what we use in our class is Tableau and IDEA. I think for you guys, when you search here, you will have Tableau pre-installed in this lab, but don't forget to choose the Rutgers Business one, Rutgers Business School Virtual Lab, but not the Rutgers. This is how we use Virtual Lab. And if you see my announcement in Canvas, I said we haven't got a code for IDEA. I think it won't impact your download IDEA, but since we have another step says you need to register for our class. It's here. For the step 2, I haven't got the code from IDEA. They actually reject my application for some reason. I'm communicating with them now. But for the first step, you just do the same things and then download IDEA. It won't impact your assignment. But whatever, I have extended the due date of all your assignment about IDEA. So let's continue. Let's talk a little bit about IDEA. This is what the workbook said, but I still want to emphasize here. IDEA is an application specifically designed for the auditors, accountants, and investigators, mostly for the auditors. So with IDEA, you can analyze complex data, extract unusual items, create audit samples, identify duplicate transactions, carry out many other tasks. And then you will see the extract under items, create audit samples. This is a very important and essential steps in our auditor process as a substantive procedures. Here's another link which talks a little bit more about what IDEA is and what you can do with IDEA. Okay, so I've uploaded the slides here on the week 9 to 11. So if you want to download it, I can give you like 1 minute now. Let's see what we're going to do. Because the workbook I have posted on Canvas is a step-by-step instruction with the solutions I provided to explain how to perform the 3 separate audits and investigations as follows. In the first, in the chapter 2, we will talk about the accounts receivable audit. Chapter 3 will talk about the accounts payable audit and the fraud investigation. And in chapter 4, we will do the exercise in inventory analysis. This is the schedule of the following 3 weeks. And let's see why we need IDEA. Because as we've learned, we have things like Tableau, we have the process mining stuff for the auditors to use. Then we can visualize our analytics. We can find the patterns. However, the IDEA is specifically designed for the auditors. So the functions in IDEA is more convenient for the auditors to use to they have already built the things like take random samples and find the agent account, find the potential bad debits, that kind of things. They have pre-built functions, so you do not need to write codes or write the formula to find what you want to find, like what you did in Excel or in Tableau. And another reason why we need IDEA here is audit analytics is changing the role of business professions, and that is no exceptions for the accounting professions. This is to say now we have a lot of technologies. We are dealing with big data. We have large volume of data, like more than for the big companies, we may have like more than 1 million transactions, accounts, and client information we need to manage. So the traditional manual auditor system and the management system cannot face the new situation. And then work on the developing your analytics mindset to add value to both yourself and the professions. With IDEA, with the practicing IDEA, you will always go through your audit mindset. The first one is ask the right questions and do the data load, choose the right data analytics tools, then take action, do your analytics and then presentation. So during the whole exercise, we actually go through the audit analytics all the time. And let's see the stage of using IDEA. We have 6 stages here. The first 3 stages are planning stages. The last 3 stages are execution. Okay, I think I have a typo here. Execution stages. So in the planning stages, it's like ask the right questions and find the data we are trying to use. the first step is determine how IDEA operated for the audit. Find the audit objectives and see what are you going to do. What are the potential risks? Are we going to find the existence, occurrency, existence transactions, or we want to test the accuracy and valuation or cut off problem? This is what we need to do in the planning system. If we have those targets can be appropriately and conveniently done with IDEA, then we choose IDEA. And then we consider the audit objectives and think what kind of data we're going to use, what the data are required in our audit procedures. After we think about all of this, then we take action. We start to work. Then we load the data, download the data, and utilize the IDEA, use those functions. Then, after all of this utilization, we review and do housekeeping. Let's see. Let's go through those six steps first. From this one, determine how IDEA is best utilized. The first thing is ask the right questions. Find the key audit objectives and problems. Then we do the ETL process and manage the data. Here, specifically in using IDEA, what we mean is find the volume and depths of the information held on computer and is the downloading data. Because as I mentioned, the IDEA usually holds a very large amount of data. So if you only have like 100 records, it may be not necessary for you to use IDEA. You can choose Excel or Tableau if you only have very limited data. Also, the purpose of IDEA is for the auditing procedures. So the IDEA is most useful when there's a problem to solve on audit. It may be assessing the extent of bad loans, debits, or inventory provisions, and looking at the performance in collecting. So in the audit procedures, the three main stages we may use IDEA are substantive testing to find the very high risk or potential risk accounts and risk records, also checking the procedures. And here's a very special function of IDEA is that you can check in the computer-based controls by reperforming the edit checks. This one is reperforming. You can look at the histories somehow like the process finding, because IDEA allows you to use the data log to find the potential risks. IDEA and these advanced technology tools and data analysis techniques operate with a large volume of small value transactions. So here's the fact of IDEA that their clients usually have more than 200 balances, more than 1,000 transactions, and more than 1,000 fixed assets. inventories, more than 1,000 inventories, and more than 250 transactions. That means when you work in relatively big companies, it may be more appropriate for them to use IDEA. But if you in the future you work for very small companies, not very small, but the companies who do not have a lot of transactions or very various types of fixed asset or inventories, you can choose some other data analysis technologies, which is less cost and maybe easier because ideas. It's best for the large volume transactions. Then the ease of download. The data in IDEA must be transferred from the host computer to computer running IDEA or onto a network location accessible by the auditors and analytics computers. This is to say, IDEA hasn't supported the cloud working that you can do it directly online. You have to download all the data sets you want to explore, you want to investigate. And in most cases, the client supplies you the accounting data files and the printout of the data or the email messages. So in your future work, don't worry too much about this one, because most of clients won't just provide you like a cloud data that you cannot download. So once a downloading method has been set up and used for a system or computer, subsequent downloads can actually straightforward. However, for the first time, an estimation of time and cost will need to be made. This is to say when the IDEA first load the data, it may take some time, and you need to make some efforts to tell IDEA what are those data, those characters and maybe numbers mean, or if although IDEA has kind of automatically extraction system, you have to sometimes, or in most situations, you have to define it. So let's look at a summary. In summary, use IDEA in audits where there's a core purpose all reason. That is, you don't use IDEA for your like daily work, or typing, or just made up a document. Make a document. You use it for auditing, for the auditing procedures like substantive procedures. Then you may use IDEA when there's a reasonable number of records. The reasonable here we say is large number of records, and then yes, when it is a depth of information on the items. If we just want to view what are those informations, like what is the customer's name, what is the amount of transaction of a specific client or a group of clients, we may not use IDEA. We can choose Tableau or even Excel, which can help us, which is quicker and more convenient. And the last one is data transfer is technically flexible at reasonable cost and volume can be accommodated on computers or network. Here we say this data transfer, although we've seen a large volume of data, we may not think it's like 200 billion records. That will be too much for IDEA to handle. So maybe IDEA is best for like thousands of records, like, or 10,000 of records, that kind of things, but not like million records or billion records. Another thing is that for some specific formats, like pure text without a format, without the standard format, IDEA may not be very useful because you need to define what are those records means. If the data is not structured, like what we've learned, like the post on Instagram, if you want to analyze that kind of things, you may not use IDEA because IDEA still takes the structured data. So in routine audits, use IDEA to meet the following objects: mechanical accuracy and valuation analysis, existence and validity, completeness, cutoff, and other audit objectives. Let's and here's some areas of IDEA to consider in designing what data is required. It may be worthwhile while examining. The first one is address. This can be used for performing fuzzy matching. That is, we in Excel we call it approximate matching. So such as checking if any supplier's address are the same as employee address. They may be needed to confirmation purpose. However, the address take up a considerable amount of space. It may be possible only to include the first portion of an address. For instance, when we find an example like this, I live on Cleveland Avenue, maybe let's say 26 Cleveland Avenue, Harrison, but we have another client live on 26 Cleveland Street, maybe Edison. It looks a little bit similar, so it may be detected by the software, and there was a new reminder that you need to confirm this client's address because it looks a little bit similar to the employee's address, but it's actually not the same place and not the same person. So IDEA is not smart enough to distinguish it. Once we receive the warning like this, we have to manually check whether it is a fraud or an error. The second one is reference. All fields with reference numbers should be picked up. These are likely to be needed for any joins to other fields and are good for the gap and duplicate tests. We will do many exercises for the join files and the references in our assignment. And the third one is flags and codes, which is important to understand what the flags and codes mean. Flags is something like IDEA will send you the flag and say it is a little bit important. You may need to check it, or sometimes you can set your own flags to say, here's the thing I want to highlight. So often additional items are needed based on the codes, and they are rarely take up to much space and should be included. And dates. dates are particularly useful. Care must be taken to understand how dates are used in the system and what they are represent. Dates, actually dates is a date, like the date of today is March 23rd, 2022, but in each application, not specifically in IDEA, they may have their own specific format for them to represent dates, and they have their own formula to do calculation on dates, like calculate how many days are there between two specific days, and what's the date of today, what's the date of 10 days after the day. If we want to do that kind of calculations, we use maybe a little bit different formula in different programs and applications. The last one is descriptions, which is a long description, can be truncated if space is short, but it is often useful to have a short description on the final output. So you can add descriptions or even comments on the data you find. Okay, let's start to talk a little bit more about our exercise. Here's the background information of our IDEA exercise 1 from chapter 2. We are now playing a role as an audit manager with a firm of chartered accounts, dynamic accounts based on Ontario, Canada. So your client portfolio includes several mid-sized companies, family-owned business, and retailers. To prosper in the ever-increasing competitive market, you have to identify the need to first improve the efficiency of the audit, and improve the quality of audits and business advice given to clients, provide added value service to clients, and win new clients by offering exciting new services. Here, to achieve these goals, we just use IDEA. The first exercise in chapter 2 is auditing accounts receivable. So recall your the introduction to auditing course. When we audit the auditing accounts receivable, the main objectives is, for my opinion, on validity of the debt. The items of concerns are old invoices, unmatched cashes, and large balances. That is, we need to find the aging account that the client who haven't paid the money for a long time, and find the unmatched cash and see whether we have collected all the cashes we need to collect, and the large balance to control the risk, because we don't want one customer take too much credit, too many credits. So these 3 fields is what we want to focus in accounts receivable. So one key test is to perform a confirmation by choosing a required balance and sending out letters. This requires a customer master information such as address and credit details, as well as the transactions. Accounts receivable data is often obtained by requesting statements as a printed report files that can be imported into IDEA. Care must be taken to ensure the statement has been procedure for all the accounts by totaling all items and checking that the grade to general ledger control accounts. Here's The other potential risks we have mentioned in our takeware case. I think it's in chapter 3 takeware case, and it describes the possible risks in details. For the account receivables, what we want to test is bad debt expenses and account receivable accounts for the classification and understandability. And here for the accounts receivable account balance, we mostly take the existence and accuracy. So our audit objectives is the amount reported in the financial statement represents a valid receivables, and let's see what could be wrong. And these are the things we may need to consider. This tabular actually help us to ask the right questions and find audit objectives and see what we may focus and what we may do when we use an application like IDEA. So it's not very important here. So let's open IDEA. Okay, I think I need a new file. Here, let's start with our workbook, session 2. The potential risks, which we have mentioned here in our case, these are the risks. Which are the we need to see whether the file is incorrect, and maybe the foreign currency transactions and credits, and the customers. If we have the double customers and account, whether the account receivable is valid, or the improper allocation of accounts receivable is not properly aged, a significant percent of the receivables, and these are the potential tests, potential tests. And let's take a very quick look at the data we have. The data we have includes account number, invoice number, transaction type, gross amount, goods and service tax, which we name it as GST, and sales tax we call it PST, and indicator says whether it's paid and the date that paid and customer reference. And we have a format. We have a specific the identified format of each field. Here you can see C refers to a character, and N is a number, D is date, and C10 means we will have a character field of length of 10, and 10 n10 means n10 like here means we will donate 10-digit numbers with 2 decimal places. The first file we're going to use is this one. In the type of this file is Microsoft Access. Access is a database format file. So let's take a look. This is what we have in Access. Since in Access we have already have all those fields well designed, so it could be much more convenient if we use the database file like Access. However, in the following exercise, we will have a customer file look like this. This one is a text, and although for our humans we can easily read what it is, it may be a little bit difficult for the machines to understand what are those space, what are those tags, what are the different rows means, because it doesn't define what are these, what are those taxes, what are those taxes means. And here in page 32, we also talk a little bit about what are the audit objectives for our specific, for our exercise. And you can take a look. And let's start our IDEA exercise. The first thing we need to do is open it. Yeah. Let me just delete all the things I got. Okay. Let's start. The first thing we need to do is to load the data and create the project. How do we create project? We press this here, home, create, and we name the project like account receivable, receive. Then you press OK. You can either change the project name here, or you can later change your project by rename the project. The second thing we need to do is set the properties. Here we need to name the reports, and the report's name we want here is account receivable audit. See a report period from January 1 to 2015 and March 31st, 2015. Then we click OK. Wait, what happens? Then what we need to do is load the data. How do we load the data? We press this desktop. It sounds a little bit weird, but I do just call it desktop. The first file, as I showed you, is Microsoft Access database. So for this kind of file, we choose Microsoft Access and see where it is. We'll click that file, press open. Oh, my IDEA is in Chinese. And you should have next here. And since we want all the records included in our file, so we press this one, scan all. And we can change the output and here, accounts receivable. And if you want to change the name later, you can just single click it, change the name. Oh, before you change the name, you have to close it. Close the window. Change the name here, or you can right click it and rename it. Yes, any questions?
Yeah, Professor.
Yeah.
Do we have access to the access file? Because what I have here is an Excel file.
Oh, let me see. This one should be the access file. Yeah.
Okay. And with the IDEA software that I have, I don't know if I'm expecting the import. It says import, so I don't know if I can use that.
So can you please share the screen? I'm not sure. And here's something we need to notice that see for the names, for the output file names, we cannot include any of these characters because these characters has a specific meanings in our computer system. So when you name the file, please do not use these symbols. After that, we just double click the data we have just loaded and see. We'll have the window shows all the data we have. Let's check if we have already included all the data. Yes, 300. That's what we want. Because I'll show you this. You can check it by open your original data set like Access and see whether we have included all the data in IDEA. So generally we want to make the problems like that. But sometimes if we forget to click scan all the data, we may miss some data because the table will default it. The default setting is 10. I think it's 10,000 data. So So you can, after that, we will see the panel here. We have a property which includes history, field statistics, control total, and criteria. Most of functions we're using auditing can be choose from this, either this part or here analysis. What we want to do here is first look at this one, control total. When we select control total, it will automatically include gross amount, GST, and PST. This is because in the definition of all those fields, we only defined gross amount, GST, and PST as numbers. So IDEA won't take the invoice numbers as numbers. It will think it's kind of characteristics, characters. So if we defined what are these fields are, it will be much more convenient for us to do the analysis. So after we see this pop-up window, we click OK. I haven't chosen it. Let me see this. Let me choose this gross amount and choose OK. And it will automatically calculate the gross amount and show you the numbers here, which it just gives you a sum up of the gross amount, which is 435. Okay, 435 million, and oh no, it's thousands, and 864.85. It can be a very direct way to verify and sum up the amount. And what we want to do next is doing the field statistics to have a summarize of all the fields that can be summarized. What we do is just click this one, field statistics. And here you can see, okay, I cannot make it larger. It's just like this. We can find the summary statistics and show you the net value of all the gross amount of records, the positive value, the negative value, because the idea is designed for the auditors. They have considered most of the amounts that auditors care about. So you can just look at those things which you are interested. I click this field statistics and see whether these numbers make sense to you. Other than the summarize of those numerical fields like gross amount, GST, and PST, we can change the field type. We can change this. Let's check character and see whether we have blank account number, invoice number, or paid flags. It's okay if we have paid flags here, blank paid flags, because what we have in a paid flag is say it is not paid. And it also told you there are two kind of different paid flags and 3 types of different comments. It's very convenient. So if we are doing this in Tableau, we need to track the different measurements and attributes in the row or in a column, but with IDEA, all of this have been provided to you. Then we can look at the dates. The date is the date of that account receivable. You can see the earliest date, the latest date, and the item in March, item in February. IDEA has categorized all of these things, so you don't need to code anything at the time. After we look at all of these things, we can, if we want this report, we can just click this small printer print icon here to print the report out. Let me choose Adobe PDF. I want all, and I choose yes. I want to solve it on my desktop. And I will get all the field statistics printed here. Shows you the gross amount, GST, PST, paid flags, and data, date, and date time. Okay, after we print all of them, we just click the data under database and get back to the table we found. So it's 11:05. We can take like 10 minutes break. Okay, after we do the field statistics and have this summarization of most of account we have, we are now doing the next stage, exercise 2E. In this exercise, we will identify some of the reasons why data sets not reconcile to the total provided, and how to perform an extraction, rules for entering equations, and how to view and read history log, and how to annotate the history log. So what we want to focus here is those transactions that have a paid flags. And we also want to do a cut-off examination. That is, we want the date here. We want to check the account receivable that before April 1st, 2015. So how do we do this? This is somehow like the filter function in Excel. But here what we do is press this one, analysis, and direct. We name the field like account receivable March 31st. That is all the things that before March 31st, 2015. And you will see a small calculator button here. This is equation editor. So we'll press it. You will see a pop-up like this. What I want to mention here is that IDEA is IDEA will count the capital letter like this P and uncapitalized ones as different P's, as a different letter. So when we try to type in something, we need to be very careful. Here, since we want the paid flags, the unpaid, the uncollected account receivable. So what we put is here, paid flags and debunk it. This means unequal, one less than and then one larger than. We put them together like this. Like this. It means the different or not equal. So we say we want the flag not equal to P. Since we put P here to label the paid account, the paid transactions. So here means we want to find that the transactions that haven't been paid, the account receivable that we haven't collected. And then we put dot and dot. Here dot and dot is same as and in Excel and in Tableau. The other things we want to do here is we want to look at those older transactions, the older account receivable. So we put date. We want the date before 2015 April 1st. This is how we represent the date in IDEA. We put year first, then use two numbers to represent months and two characters to represent the date. The smaller than, the less than means before. If we have all the things typed rightly, okay, we should have no red things. If I randomly type something, you will see it is red. That means there will be, it is kind of error. You have to check it. So after we input all of these things, we choose this, validate and exit. And here we press OK, and you will see IDEA will automatically give you another result to create the sub table under this account receivable. And this time the records decrease from 3,000 to 253. And if you want to rename it, you just again right click. Okay, my IDEA will disappear. I press rename, and then I can rename it. But because I use Windows 11 system, sometimes when I use those applications, it's not very stable. But won't be a problem if you use Windows 10 or RBS Virtual Lab. So again, I just opened this this table with a filter that the paid flag is unpaid and the date before April 1st. And let's look at the history data. Here we can find the history under this one property. We click history, make sure you choose the right one because I want to see the history of this filtered account, filtered records with a 255. So you can see some of I call here. This one is expand all tasks, and this is expand all tasks on each level. And this time you can check my log information, where did I put it, and the number of records and the index and range, and how do we extract them from the original data set. This is how the history data work. Somehow look like the process mining, but the process mining applications are more functional, and they can do more things, and they can better visualize the log, the history information. And this time, let's add some comment here. And we can find comments here by click add comments. Let me see something, say something. And after you make comment, don't forget to link it to some of the specific table, maybe this one. Then press close. We will add a comment here, and the comment the other auditors who use this file can see the comment is directly towards this table, this Sum table, but not the Sum data set, but not that parent data set. And we come to a very important function, which is random record sampling. Auditors do sampling all the time in their substantive procedures. Although in Professor Hussain's, I think it's 2 weeks ago, in his class, we know that we want to do the sampling based on the whole populations, but not take some samples. However, since FASB and GASB hasn't changed the rules of auditors, we still have to use random record sampling. How to do sampling here? We just click this ANSYS. Oh no. As I say, because I use Windows 11, it's not very stable. I should be very careful, or my IDEA window just closed. I open the windows and click Analysis. Here, you can see a function called sample, and I want a random sample. I change the number of records to select into 20. And the random number seed is just a random number because if you set seed 1, the seed equals 1. Every time you use a seed 1 on the same data set, you will get the same sample result. And it's the same for number 12, number, or what specific number it is. But I just put a random number here, set it as a random seed. And after I click OK, you can see I have sampled 20 records. I have select 20 records from this one. AR March. Let me explain a little bit more on this random seed. Random is not really, I should say not really random. When we say set the random number equals to 1, let's see, we will have first RO25. Okay, I shouldn't based on this level. Random 20, set it as 1, and we get RO25 first, then MO14. And next time, if again I set 20 and random set equals to 1, I actually get okay. Can I put this one? Well, I actually should get the totally the same samples. That is why we have to set the different random set. Because Windows 11 is not very stable. My IDEA closed all the time. You will see that when I set the same random set, you will see this random is exactly the same as this random. These two files is exactly the same. So if we don't want to get the same set, we just set the random number set as different numbers. And let me rename it as sample. And if you have opened a lot of windows like this, one way to close all of them is click this one, File, Close All Database. And now you can close all the windows here at once. Another thing we want to do is agent. agent is still under this one analysis here, agent. We set the age date, that is from what date we want to calculate the agent. For instance, when I set the agent date as April 1st, the March 31st should get the agent as 1 day. And if I set this one as April 2nd, account receivable has a date of March 31st, should get the agent as 2 days. So here I just set it as April 1st. We can set the agent of different account. Here what we want to use is gross amount. And let me change the name of the agent report. Agent report. H analysis. Okay. Now you can see we directly have the agent window. And let's see, within 60 months, we have 76 accounts, and within 1 month, we have 161. And the days larger than 120 should be, we should focus on these kind of things, because 120 days is 1 season. If we have a count larger than 1 season, that means we haven't collected that account receivable within 1 season. So the account receivable may have very high risks. And we can also have the debit details, credit details, and net values. The IDEA will automatically calculate all of this for you. And here's 2 very specific things you may say, like interval now, items data on or after the agent date. In this case, is after 2015 April 1st. However, since I have filtered this table from account receivable, there's no account after April 21st, after April 1st. But if I want to do an agent on this one, and I set it as April 1st, 2015. We will have this one interval equals to 0, which we have 1 records. So risk. So that way, wait. Have to do the agent again. And we can also visualize the agent with a graph. How do we do this? We just click this button. Huh. Okay, did I say something wrong? Again, we press this visualize button. Although the visualization of IDEA is a little bit ugly because it doesn't meet our the date to ink ratio with winner before, but IDEA designed like this, and this is how they use it. We can also change it into 3D. If you think it's better for your visualization. And we can right click the graph, press add title. Then you will see a title here, which is called new title. Then you right click it, you can change the name of the title. Wait. Again, you can press this printer button to print out the result. Because I don't want to do it here, I just close it. Okay, let's have a summarize here that the database window has several properties that can be accessed through links in properties window. We have a database, which just shows you the whole database, show you the table, the history show us the different heritages, and the log information, the field statistics, which shows us a summarization, the summary statistics of each field, and the result. The result can be the analysis result like this one, agent. Okay. Let's close it. Oh, no. And another thing we want to focus as an auditor is the high amount account, the high volume account. And we can do things like also like filter and sum up in Excel, in IDEA. So how do we do this? We first open this AR March 31st, and you press this one data, then under analysis table, we add a deliberate extract group. Again, I want to create the formula for high volume amounts. And we think the high volume here is the gross amount larger than 10,000. So we press valid and exit. We can add more than one extractions here and do them together. Here, we also want old invoices. For the old invoices, I want the invoices before 2014 December 31st. And IDEA actually can add at most 50 different extractions here. And when we click OK, you can see here it will automatically create 2 different reports here. And it can be more efficient because we can create all the extractions at once. Again, when we click these old invoices, we can see the control total, the total of the gross amount here. This is also true for the high volume one. We can see the control total of the high volume invoices here. And another way to do the filter is this. We first close all the database. Again, we open our main data set, account receivable March 31st. And this time we click this one, criteria. For criteria, we want the type equals to C. If you still remember, if we have the type here, we have 3 different types of type. They are I, C, and P. So this time we want to focus on the type equals to C. So don't forget the IDEA is the capital sensitive, so you cannot use the small c, you must use the capital C. Again, we just press this one, validate and exit. And it will show us, it will do the filter and do all the type C and show us all the type C here in our records. We can also edit the criteria. For instance, we don't want to focus on the type C anymore. We can create another one, like gross month less than 0. It can be very easy. You will find the invoices with gross amount less than 0. So you may think it may be a little bit similar to what we do here, use extract direct. What are the differences? For this criteria, we just do the filter on the main data set, but we do not create a new report. However, if we use extract direct, we will create a new report for us to create a sub database. So it depends on your goals. You can choose either criteria or extract direct. Okay. On the last slide in our PowerPoint, we can see that I list the difference between extractions and criteria. Criteria property and extractions text identify items satisfying a given equation. However, criteria property does not generate an output database. And nothing is written to history log when used criteria property. After all of this, we may think, oh no. Can IDEA do the customized calculation fields just as what we do in Tableau and Excel? Yes, IDEA can also do that. So again, we open our main database, and this time I click data, and this one, define action field. And it will show you the existing action field, and I want to add one more. This time I want the calculation field called net. And the type of the net, because the net is a net amount, so we call it virtual numerical. And I don't want to limit the length of the net, so I leave it blank. And the DEC is a decimal. I want to has 2, and it gives a description should say that net means net amount. You will see the parameter one. Double click it. That's where we defined the calculation. See, the net should equal to the gross amount minus 2 taxes. So what I put here is gross amount subtract GST plus PST. Again, I press validate and exit. Okay. Choose yes. Then you will have a new column called net, which calculates the gross amount minus GST and PST. That's how do we do calculation in IDEA. So any questions here? Okay, let me continue. Let's try the quick summarization. So although we have the field statistics, sometimes the summarization is not it's not enough for us. So what we do to have a quick summarization or the customized summarization is here analysis. We click analysis. On this categorize, we click summarization. And we want to choose the field we want to summarize. Let's see, we want to summarize all of this numerical amount. And we just use quick summarization. And create a new database if we click this create new database, we'll have a new output here to show you the summarization. And let me rename it as balances by click OK. This time we will have the balances summarized by customer, and it will show you the summarization of gross amount, the taxes, and net amount of each customer. And we click this, find this title, gross amount, click this, double click it, it will automatically order it from the smallest to largest. And if we double click it again, it will order all the records on the descending order. So we can easily find our client with the highest gross amount here. And we can see the largest balance of the client is client W025, and the gross amount equals to 45,763. Okay. After this, we want to join our balances by customers with the customer's information. Where is my customer? If you still remember, we have our customer information here in this text data. And we want to join them together. So what we do here is, again, click home button. Okay, let me close all the database first. Home button, and you will see, again, desktop. That means I want to import a new database. And this time I use printed report and Adobe PDF. And tell IDEA where your file is. Then click next. You will have another pop-up windows. And show you the data here, the records here. What you want to do for our human, we can understand this, like the A001 includes these 5 records. We have to tell IDEA this is one record. This is integrity for an client. So we select all of these 5 records and then choose create a standard layer. After that, you will see things like this. It will extract the first records. And you find the same position. Let's see this. Okay, sounds good. You see this 4 different buttons. The first one is text. The second one is non-numerical. The third one is space, and the last one is non-black track. So for this one, for the account number, we start with a text. So we press this one, text. It will give you a T. Then it's number. So it gives you, we press T, N, N, N. This is how we define a field from the text, from a pure text file, and tell what does it mean in IDEA, so that the IDEA can understand how should they deal with this data. But because I use Windows 11, if I do the next step, my computer will crash. So what you should do next is select this A001, and your computer should show you all these account numbers has been selected. And you can scroll down to see whether all the account number has been selected. That should be. Now you see my computer is crashed because I use Windows 11. So for the last few pages, I have to show you with the workbook, because my IDEA just cannot open. I tried it like at least 10 times. It's still like this. So after you select A001, you should have the field details, shows you all the field information. You just check whether this field information is matching your understanding, your human understanding. If it's okay, just leave it here. If it's not okay, like if the type is not right, you change it. But since I cannot do this, so my field detail is blank. So the workbook will tell you, or if you use field editor, you can see the field attributes, and you can change the names. The names cannot be changed. The names will be automatically extracted. Here, but if it's not automatically extracted, you just give it a name. So here we can give a name here as, change it from account number, from customer name. And since the type is the same as character, we don't need any changes. And we set the offset, set the actual white. But this field is surely automatically set. So if you set this correctly, it won't be not complex. It won't be very complex. You just tell them A is a text, O is a number, O is a number, and 1 is a number. And that's it. So we need to set the fields, define each field, and give it a name, change the type of it. After you set all those fields, you can press this one, save layer, here. If you can see, this one's a green button, and IDEA can read the file. That's why I say the text file, PDF file is much harder than using database file, because database file is very structured and predefined. what we do next is preview the database. It will show you the preview data like that. You just take a very quick look, see whether everything is good. And in the toolbar, you can click scan for error. I click this button, and it will tell you whether there's a validation errors. After that, you just save the templates and import it to IDEA. After doing all of this, you should have your customer master database finished. So in that case, you can open your customer window like this. Again, for the customer window database, you can still do the property things like check the histories, check the control total, check the field statistics. And if you did it correctly, you should have 87 records, and the control total should be 1595,000. And the last step is drawing the balances, because what we have here in the customer master is just the customer information. We also want add a column says how much is account receivable of each client. So what we do